Hi guys, so I'm back to answer a few questions just about myself. I'll do another one of these videos just in case you want to know a little bit about me. So with the help of some of my teacher friends, I have come up with some questions just to give you a little introduction for me. So I put these questions in my trusty roots bag and I'm going to shake them up. That probably wasn't even necessary, honestly. Shake it up a little bit. All right, and I'm going to pull questions out the bag and I'm going to answer them honestly. Okay, so the first question is, I pulled two, so I'm going to put this one back. Okay, first question is, what is your favorite TV show? This is hard because, I've watched a lot of TV. So quarantine left me with a lot of time on my hands. And so I watched a lot of TV. I would say one of my favorite TV shows, I'm not sure if I can watch it when it comes back out because it just seems too close to reality for me. So I need times to be a little better before I watch it. But Handmaid's Tale is probably one of my favorite shows. Like the writing is amazing. Just everything is amazing. I also really I know it says favorite TV show, but I'll give you a few. So on HBO, there's this show starring Michaela Cole. I think she's gorgeous and I think she's very talented. But there's this show called I May Destroy You. That was a really good show. I like that it comes from the perspective of Black Londoners, which is something that, especially here in the States, I just feel like we don't really see. So that was awesome. Other quarantine shows that I liked. Lena Waithe has a show called 20s on Showtime, and it's really short, but it's cute. Kind of unrealistic, but it's still cute. So I guess those have kind of been my favorite TV shows. It wasn't supposed to be shows, but TV shows. Give me some recommendations. I'm all TV'd out. I feel like I've watched everything on Netflix, including Indian Matchmaking, so don't send me that one. Don't send me like Dating Blind or whatever it was called, where it's like they dated, but they didn't see anyone, Love at First Sight or something. Don't send me that because I've watched that a long time ago. I do have Hulu, so if you guys have some Hulu shows, I don't use Hulu as much as others, but if you have some Hulu shows, give me some recommendations because I'm in a TV hole. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've been reading, but I'm in a TV hole, so send some recommendations to my email, okay? So next question, a little shake, see if we get something interesting here. Okay. How did you develop your love of reading? So this is probably something that you guys don't know. I really like to read. So I've been reading like my whole life. When I was growing up, we couldn't say like, oh, I'm bored. Because if I was bored, my mom would be like, well, go pick up a book. So I developed my love of reading from my mom, who would make sure, I'm really grateful to her because she would make sure I had books where I could actually see myself. So as a kid, I had an American Girl doll. I had the Addie doll. Addie's storyline is that she was enslaved, but she went to freedom. She was able to escape to the north, and so her whole family eventually is freed. Her brother serves as a Union soldier, and so even though it's about this girl and her experience being enslaved, the whole story is not about her being enslaved. It's about her finding her identity and her growing up in a time where there is a lot of sectional tensions in the United States, in a place and in a time where she may not have felt great about herself because society didn't really say great things about her and her people. So it was such a complete story. I had the doll, I had a couple of outfits, and I had the entire book series. And so I developed my love of reading really young because my mom would make sure that she got me books where I could see myself. So if I got bored, I would pick out a book, I would read a book. So I guess another question going to that is, what are you reading now? That would be a good question to follow up. right now I'm at the very end. Right now I'm reading a book by Stephanie Jones Rogers. It is amazing, you guys. It's absolutely amazing. It's called They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South. I will be using information from this book. In the class. So it's a really good book because a lot of the times when we think about white women in the antebellum South, we kind of treat them as damsels in distress, like they didn't have any power within the system. And really, they had so much power. And not only were they the wives of slave owners, they owned slaves in their own right. And it talks about how, a lot of the time these men would marry up because traditionally, if a man marries a woman, he got all of her stuff. And so a lot of these women, if they inherited enslaved people, they would say, this person is for, Miss Sarah Jones in her own right. And so this book is amazing when it talks about this. So if you want to support a historian, this is a great book. It's incredibly legit, you guys. It's Yale University Press, so come on. This is an amazing book. Check it out. All right, so next question. Let me go to my bag here. So for those of you who don't know, Roots is a Canadian store. I like to travel. I haven't been traveling lately because, COVID. So it's just a nice reminder of the worlds before. All right, so next question. Why did you want to be a history professor? Ooh, this is a good one. So I didn't always want to be a history professor. As a matter of fact, my major was not even history when I was an undergrad. So I went to the Xavier University of Louisiana. I was a mass comm major and a psych minor. So I no history in there. So to start my history program, I actually had to take a number of undergraduate history courses. I wanted to become a history professor because I realized after I graduated that no one really hates history. They just hate how they've been taught history. A lot of the time, it's taught from a perspective where a lot of people aren't able to see themselves in the history and see themselves in the documentation. And so if you're not able to see yourself and relate to it, it doesn't seem like it's important. But there are so many different stories. There are so many different stories and different fabrics. It's all of us who have made America possible. We all need to be included in the story of this great nation. And so I wanted to become a history professor to say, history is awesome. I think history is great. I love it. We got to change how this is taught, and maybe people will become more interested. So that's why I became a history professor. Yay. Okay. I'm going to throw that away. I don't even know I'm shaking this up at this point because there's so few questions left. So, all right. Cool. All right. This one might be a good one. Let's see. Do you like music? Yes, I do like music. And what's your favorite genre? This one's hard. Okay. So there's only one genre that I don't really like that much. Like, I'll listen to it, but it makes me incredibly depressed, is country. I don't really like country. I don't see myself. I don't feel myself in the music. It's not really my jam. So, but I love jazz. I like listening to jazz on vinyl. I really like Coltrane. For one, Coltrane is amazing. One of my favorite is Thelonious Monk. I have Monk's music. I have a few of his vinyl albums. And the thing I love about Thelonious Monk is in his music, it starts off in one way and then it's almost like it becomes more chaotic, and it's almost like you can feel the chaos of the times. You can feel the chaos and the disorganization of his mind through his music, and then it comes back together. But it's so amazing. But yeah, of course, I like indie music. I like things that are new and different. It just depends on the mood that I'm in. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna listen to some Nina Simone because Mississippi Goddamn is what I'm feeling. Or I might say I'm gonna listen to, some Amy Winehouse or some Adam Levine or the internet or Summer Walker. I really like NPR's Tiny Desk. I like a lot of the artists that are on there. I would check out Chika. Chika's Tiny Desk is amazing. Moonchild's Tiny Desk is really, really good as well. Sorry, guys, it kind of closed down on me, but Moonchild's Tiny Desk is really amazing as well. I also really like Tyler, the Creator's Tiny Desk, and I like the Tiny Desk music actually better than the songs that are on his actual album. So I really like Tiny Desk and a lot of the artists that are on Tiny Desk. Okay, next question. I'm having more fun than I probably should since I'm by myself, but we'll see here. Next question. What are some of your passions? This is a good one. So, I would say one of my passions or passion projects is genealogy, doing genealogical research for my family. So, I, again, was introduced to genealogy, I would say through my mom, because she had this hunger in her to learn about our family history. And so I kind of started as like helping her. And then I kind of went off in another direction and started doing my own research. So a few weeks ago, it could have been last month, times and things have been so, days have kind of been blending together lately. But over the summer, that's more accurate. That's safer. Over the summer, I was doing some genealogical research on my mom's dad, if you follow. My mom's dad. Before he died decades ago, like he told my mom about his family history, and he said his father was born enslaved, and that he was in in Alabama, and he had a family and children in Alabama, but his owner moved to Texas, and so he had to move to Texas as well. And so I was over the summer, I actually did some research and was able to find my enslaved ancestor on a slave schedule. While it was, I would say, kind of sad in a way, it was also incredibly fulfilling to be able to look at this slave schedule where there are no names, to put a name on this person, and to be able to honor my ancestors in such a way. And that also goes back to why I became a history professor. I find my work honors, it's a way for me to honor my ancestors and to honor those who have passed on by telling their stories and to make sure their voices are heard. Okay, next question. Oh, guys, there are only two more, so we're doing good. So, have you developed any new quarantine hobbies? Yes, I have. So, well, kind of. So, I have gotten into candle making. I find it really just fun. So over quarantine, I made a couple of flavors and I burned them and they smell really good. So that was one of my quarantine hobbies, I would guess, that I got into. I already liked to read. I already loved music. So quarantine hobby would be candle making. That's been my quarantine hobby. I had to do something because like my cousin, who is like one of my bestest friends, was showing me up because our quarantine hobby is making earrings and they're amazing. Like her earrings are amazing. So in the weeks to come, you will see me wearing different earrings. And so if they're her earrings, I'll let you know and I'll like drop a link if you want to like order some of her earrings and support a small business. All right. Last question is favorite book. What is your favorite book? That one's also hard. I love reading. So if you guys could see my bookshelf, it's like a double decker. So there are shelves and then it's drawers at the bottom. So some of the books are too like high, too tall to fit on the bookshelf, on the shelves part. So they're all kind of underneath. It's so many. It's so many. It's hard. Favorite book. Man, I'll say my favorite books. So I really like to read nonfiction. But there is a fiction book called Homecoming, I believe, by Ya Gyasi. YAA, and its last name is Gyasi. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I think it's Homecoming. It could also be Homegoing, but I think it's Homecoming. That was a good book. I really enjoyed it. And it's fiction, but based in historical fact, but it's still a fiction book. I like James Baldwin, so I like a lot of his. I have a book of like collected stories by James Baldwin, and I just like how even though a lot of these things were written in the 50s and 60s, they still hold so true. He is one of the great ones. When I think of James Baldwin, I'm like, when I read him at least, I'm like, I'm entering the mind of the great one because he is amazing. Um, there's a book by Richard Rothstein called The Color of Law. That one was very informative, really good information about redlining and how the U.S. government helped to segregate America. That's a good one. Another one is by Carol Anderson. It's a book called One Person, No Vote, and it's about voter suppression in the United States, recent voter suppression. So that's also a goodie. And of course, I can't not bring up Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. That is also an amazing book. And I'm sure when I stop this video, I'm going to remember like 5 additional books. Oh, here's another one. Toni Morrison's Bluest Eye. That is probably one of my favorites. I love it. I was first really introduced to it when I was a teenager. It's amazing. I love everything about it. I love how it's written. I love the voice. I love the tempo and the cadence, and just it's poetic in every way. I love it. So Toni Morrison's Bluest Eye. That's probably one of my favorites as well. All right, so I will have more questions that I'll be answering later. So it's just a little introduction to who I am. The next thing that I'll be recording is a lecture on primary and secondary sources, what they are, and why we use them, why they're useful. So, all right, see you next time. See you in a bit.